tackle the dock. Let me pull up the picture. And to be able to draw the dock, we're going to keep looking at the water versus the dock, and the water is much lighter than the dock. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw the dock. Let me make sure my camera's in focus for you. Okay, and I'll bring it down here too, so it's closer. We'll concentrate on this side of the dock first, because I usually draw, I don't want to rub my hand all over the drawing. So I'm also going to lay a piece of paper down. Okay, so looking at the picture, I'm zooming in on my picture, and the download or the link to view the reference picture is in the description of this. So it has a lot of horizontal lines, and they're going to go right next to her leg. I don't want this line to show up, so I'll end up erasing that later. And the dock has a lot of lights and darks. I'm making up where these dark lines are. I'm really just making this up. And this has to be dark because it needs to be darker than the water. Maybe I'll like get this base color down. I'm using an HB number pencil. If you're using a number 2 pencil, you can just lightly draw so it's about this dark. You have to remember to go in between here, and this has to match this or it won't look real. So if, like, say we have one of the lines through this, you have to make it go all the way through. Okay. I'm not even looking at my reference picture right now. I'm just shading this in. And it looks like, now I just looked up at my picture and it looks, the reference picture looks like it's darker back here and it gets lighter as it goes forward. So now I'm not even looking at the reference photo. I'm just drawing some of the dock in here, just shading it in. I'm gonna go around this part. And now I'm looking at my photo and this is going to be a lot darker. I'm drawing up and down vertical here because that's the way the lines go on the wood. And it's easier to draw the edge if you're going in that direction that the edge is. Now notice you don't see outline here. You don't see, I don't even want to do it. I'll do it on the scrap paper. You don't see this. You don't see that line. Because there's no line. If you're looking at the dock, there's no outline. It's just this is darker than the water, and that's what makes that edge. This one has ropes too. Should I do it? I think I shall. This part here is dark, and that's like my darkest of my whole, that part. And this is light here, and then it gets kind of dark in the middle, and then it goes light again, and then it goes pretty dark. And I'll go back into this later. I'm just getting a rough idea of what it looks like. I think this piling goes off like that, but the rope is hiding it, so I'm doing that. And then it's gonna have some darks here, but let me get that rope. Just gonna do this, and then I'm gonna go in with the little eraser I have. So if you don't have this little eraser, you can erase more than what we need with a bigger eraser, and then just do the rope. So I'm gonna make the rope go like this, and it doesn't have to be exact because the person looking at your drawing isn't gonna know exactly what that rope did. I'm just gonna do that. I'm not gonna worry about that part that's coiled. I'll just do that. And eventually we will make these lines disappear. Now, looking at this piling, it's going to be darker under the rope. And then I have my dock. And I'll make this darker because that's part of my piling. And remember, the rope has to go past the piling because it goes around it. All right, so I'm just going to do that for my rope. And this rope goes under the dock. So the way I'm going to show that eventually is I don't want to see that line. I'll see the water. I'll see the water and the dock. And that's what's going to make that rope show up. But for now, I can just have an outline, and that's fine. We just have to make it disappear later. Gonna go darker with this. I need to make the rope come out past the piling. Okay. I'm going to zoom in on my drawing so I could see what the bottom of that piling looks like. And right now I'm looking at the lighter picture. Oh, and look, it's not even a rope. It's like an extension cord, but that's okay. I'm going to make it a rope because ropes are very nautical. All right. Just doing a line here. I have a 4B now, and I'm going to darken this line. And I'm not all the way on the end. I'm in a little bit because cylinders are dark and then they go lighter. So I'm just going to darken this a little bit around my rope. Sharpen. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm drawing out loud so you know what's going through my head. And I want to look at the top of this piling again. Okay. All right, so my water's light, and then this is going to be a little bit darker, but I don't want an outline. This is going to go past that. And then it's going to get darker here. Now this part, it's not straight across. It has to come down because it's round. I'm going to leave some white here. I'm going to see if I can zoom this in so you can see even closer. I don't know if it'll focus. Yeah, okay. All right. All right. I'm gonna make this dark part, it's gonna be thinner here and go down so it's like a triangular shape. And this looks like it's lighter here and gets darker here. And then I'm gonna have another triangle, whoops. There's gonna be another triangle about here. And this one is dark here and it fades into that light. So I'm pushing down and lifting the pencil as I go up. And then for the very edge of this, I think I have to switch back to my, see. I'm just pulling up a different picture, okay. All right, so it gets dark and then it gets a little lighter again as this goes down. Now you don't want an outline here. So you have to make it go into this thing. This darkness should match up with this. And I'm just gonna bring this down a little more. All right, and then on the piling, under this should be like shaded a little bit, so that'll be your difference between here. And then you have to blend this out. You can't have a dark shadow line really. So I'm just gonna do this. And again, I'm gonna finish this toward the end of the drawing. I'm just getting down some basic color so I can get values throughout the whole dock. In the end, we're gonna finish this up so it looks very, very real in detail. I'm gonna go a bit darker with this because this needs to be darker than my dock. I'm gonna leave the rope white and I'll get back into shading that when we're further along. Okay. All right, the dock. Just gonna finish filling this in and go up here. This is a 4B. I'm going to switch to a lighter pencil. So now I'm just using use the HB. And if you're just using a number 2 pencil, just lightly, so it's about this light. And I'm going to draw a little bit of these lines in. And these are not perfectly straight lines because it's rustic boards. So there's also areas on these boards where some of it might be darker than other areas. An important part is continuing the same shade all the way through between the legs. And I'm leaving the legs white. So you want to go right up to the legs and get this whole dock shaded in the same amount. Next to the legs, I'd gone vertical, and now I'm just going in circles to erase those vertical marks I made, because all my lines on my deck go horizontal, so I don't want to have any vertical lines. And I'm drawing very tiny circles to fill in those little divots, the tooth of the paper. And we don't need to outline the legs. I'm getting rid of those lines so you don't see them. See how you don't see a line here? I'm shading this in to get rid of that line. And I could go back with my eraser. But you're shading in the dock so you don't see those lines. Just going to erase that. I went over the leg a little bit. Okay. And then the same thing over here. You need to get rid of those lines. And we'll get more detailed with the lines on the dock. Right now, just fill it in so you have it a darker color than the water. And you're trying to get rid of the lines. I'm not referencing the photo when I just do these dark things. I'm just putting them in where I had traced the darkness before, because I know that's going to need to be darker than the rest of the dock. So looking at the reference photo for the bottom of this foot, and it's going to be about like that. And I don't want to outline. I don't want to outline that foot. I'm just going to blend it into my dock. Because I'm not drawing the foot. I'm drawing the dock and how it looks around that foot. I'm just putting my pencil down and going out. Okay. And then I can work back in and really look at the shadow under the foot. So really zoom in on that picture that I put on Google Drive for you. And it's going to be darkest under the foot. So the all those lines in the wood are going to be darkest around the foot. And then they get lighter as they go out. And now I'm looking at the photo. I have this dark piece of wood. It's the side of that board. All right, and what's going on around this foot? This foot she actually has up in the air. So I think there is a little shadow here for it. A little bit, but again, it's overcast. So the shadows are not going to be strong in this drawing. Very soft shadows. Okay, go back again. Let me see what the edge of the dock does in the picture. All right, these a lot of this is going to be, you'll know the difference between the dock and the water because the direction of the lines. And I'm laying this down because this needs to be the continuous dock here. And because I have rope here, I just don't want to lose my edge of the dock. The rope goes over the water. And I'm turning it into rope. Remember, it's really like an extension cord. So I'll just go there with it. Okay. Just vertical line or horizontal lines. It's going to make your texture for you. Do some push a little harder, leave some white. I'm not going everywhere on that. And then I have the bottom of the paper here that when I traced on the screen, this wasn't in the picture, but I have some on my paper. So I'm just going to continue what I'm doing. Bring that down. And then just judge. These need to be bigger down here, wider planks because it's closer to the camera. So I'm just going to do one more. And I'm making it up. And remember how I said people looking at your drawing are not going to have this photo side by side. So the important thing is that your creases in between your boards are darker than your boards. This, again, I'm using an HB. I'm not sure if I said that. So this line is going to need to, whoops, I guess I'm deciding it's going to be there, not here. But that could be a crack in my board. Long strokes. Okay. So this is what you should have so far. Just a idea of where the planks are with different hardness and darknesses of this pencil. Oh, I forgot a piling. Let's throw that in real quick. I'm going to look at my reference photo. I'm going to use paper here so I don't smudge this. I want to try to keep her legs white. I'm just going in with a medium color, vertical lines. This thing is going to be about like that. It's a little bit of a curve and it goes up. Not that much, but okay. And then my darkness on this, I have some dark here. And this is darker all the way around. I'll get a little bit lighter here. It doesn't do that in my picture, but that's what cylinders do if they had a little more light. So I'm kind of making that part up. This needs to go past the piling because it's a cap that's on the piling to keep the birds off so they don't poop on your deck. On your dock. Okay, and I have this, and this is going to go around. I'm going to have some really dark here. This is a cut around the dock. This is going to be darker. And there's a crab cage here. And we can draw it or choose to leave it off. I'll probably draw it just because I liked the, you know, girls in her bare feet on the splintery dock with this sharp metal crab cage. It was just a good good contrast in the drawing of subject matter. Okay. I'm going to get a darker pencil. I'm going to go with my 4B. I'm like medium there. I'm going to do a couple layers here so it gets darker. I'll go in this direction. Just so this area is darker. Let me erase this because I went too farther than I wanted to. And I want to get that crooked slant of this. I can't have my board curving like this, so this has to be straight. So I need to decide what I want to do. And I like this darkness that's down that hole, so I'm actually going to erase that piling to there. So that's my piling, and this is going to be darker. And this piling needs to be darker than the dock. And that's what's going to make that line. So just get some dark here. Do this a little darker up here. Let's see. When I step back and look at my drawing, I need to zoom in. And I'm not finishing this part right now. I'm just getting in some grays. All right, this, I made that go way too far up, so. Adjust that. So I shouldn't go dark. I should be using a lighter pencil until I know what I'm doing. Because now I have this that I won't be able to erase easily. All right. The reason this looks so flat right now is because I don't have the darks and lights to make it round. So we will go back to this later. I'm just getting an idea of the values right now. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to a darker pencil. And I got a crack there. Could be crookedy. Doesn't have to be exactly like the picture. Some darks, lights. And I'll try to get the grain more exact when I get more, when I'm really going to finish this. All right. So that's what we have so far for this part. I'm going to get a little more detail on the dock. You know what? No, I'm going to change it like that and we'll go to the next part because this video is getting too long.